What a World Cup final we've seen between New Zealand and South Africa. South Africa have won by a point, 12 points to 11. They were 12-6 up at half time. Now, fun facts before we get into the game. It's the first red card we've ever had in a final for Sam Cane. South Africa are the first team to win 4 World Cups, and also they've never lost a World Cup final. Let that sink in. No team has lost whilst leading at half time, and South Africa, are only the second team to retain the Webb Ellis Trophy following the All Blacks in 2011 and 2015. So they're the fun facts. The game itself, controversy from the first whistle, tension. This was a pure attritional battle. The weather conditions had a part to play because there was a lot of rain. It rained in the game. I think the All Blacks were overplaying at times. South Africa, they got their first 2 yellow cards of the tournament in the second half. New Zealand, their discipline has cost them against South Africa again, because in the warm-up game they had a player sent off and had yellow cards, and that ill discipline cost them. In the final, that ill discipline's cost them in the first half, and while they won the second half by scoring the only points, they were chasing the game, and they missed a conversion and a penalty which would have won them the game. Handre Pollard kicked his kicks. And it was South African defence has also won the game. But they've also had 2 yellow cards. Let's break it down. Now, Shannon Frizzell, his illegal clear out on Mbambi has meant Mbambi has left the field injured. He gets a yellow card. What would be a hip drop tackle in rugby league is the best way to describe it to just other viewers who aren't normally rugby union viewers. He puts a lot of weight on Mbambi's knee and lower leg. There's also a neck roll in there as well, so he could have been pinged for that. Now, should that have been a yellow upgrade for red or just stayed a yellow? We'll leave that debate in the comments section below. Shannon Frizzell's brother Tyson Frizzell was playing for Tonga against England down the Rugby League International side. Both Frizzell brothers on the losing side, and ultimately lose. One loses a World Cup, one loses a Test series. So let that sink in. But that is the first of the big talking points in the game. Now, Pollard slots the resultant penalty. He will slot another penalty on 12 minutes. Handre Pollard, he wasn't even in the squad. He was injured when the squad was announced. He's a late call-up. Obviously, Malcolm Marks obviously pulled out injured in training after the first game. But Mbambi is the only out-and-out hooker, so Fury's got to come on, and he hasn't played top-flight hooker for over a decade, 15 years plus. He's a back row forward. He transitioned to a back row forward, so emergency hooker. So the line out was a bit of entertainment, because South Africa normally have a very, very good set piece. Their line out, obviously, without their starting hooker, is going to be disrupted. Fury did a decent enough job. Let's be honest. But Pollard slots 2 penalties. Mo'unga responds on 17 minutes. So New Zealand have got into the game. It's basically been South African defence and New Zealand's attack trying to figure out how to get past that South African defence. Now, Pollard would slot another penalty on 19 minutes. And so it's 9-3 to the Springboks. Then the Sam Cane yellow, which is upgraded to a red. And I will also discuss the Khaleesi yellow that wasn't. Now, Sam Cane has hit Jesse Creel high. Now, Jesse Creel is at a slightly lower height than he would normally be, because he's jinking and he's darting around a little bit. He's one of those powerful running centres, but he hasn't altered his height. His knees are only slightly bent, and Sam Cane has already lined him up. Now, if Jesse Creel had lowered his height more, he would have been decapitated, let's be honest. If Jesse Creel was at normal height, it would have still been a high tackle, because Sam Cane's shoulder would have hit him about in the throat, which would be probably more dangerous. Now, Sam Cane has not even made an attempt to bend at the hips, to hinge, as they would say, and drop his tackle height. He's gone in very, very high, and he's nailed him plumb in the cheek. It was with force. This wasn't just a glancing blow. He has nailed him high and hard, and yeah, you can't argue that. And with what we've seen in the World Cup, we've seen plenty of yellows upgraded to reds. We've also seen some not, but you look at what happened to Dupont, and you look and his injury from a similar tackle, which resulted in Daisel, I think his name was, the Namibian player, going and getting upgraded to a red. And we saw what happened with Tom Curry in the opening weekend as a tackler with a far less serious tackle getting upgraded to a red. I think you can't argue with that one. But we've also seen some yellows given for probably more serious foul play. But I'm going to leave that at that. I will discuss Khaleesi's yellow later on. Now, Pollard slots another penalty on 34 minutes. Mwanga responds on 38 minutes. So the All Blacks are still in the game. It's around this point we find out that Sam Cane is going to be done for the rest of the game. So now they've got to play, the last 10 minutes of the first half, but the whole of the second half a man down. The first 4 or 5 minutes of the second half, the All Blacks are all over the place. South Africa could have scored several times, but I'm not joking. Khaleesi had a good break, and he's just got to give the pass to Arendse, and it's a try. Arendse fluffed an opportunity to score. The All Blacks at this point have imploded. You're thinking, Christ, South Africa could do what they did in the warm-up game against Twickenham at the end of the summer, just before the World Cup, and put a record-breaking score on them. It's not to be, because Khaleesi gets sin-binned. Again, head contact in the tackle. Difference being, Khaleesi's clearly made an attempt to drop his tackle height, and most of the force of the challenge goes through the chest, and it's with that collision that he clips the All Black player's head. So his one remained yellow, although we've seen them upgraded to red, which shows the inconsistency of this new TMO yellow-red review system, which I've not really been a fan of anyway. I think we should give the power back to the on-field officials to really have a bit more control over that kind of. I think this should be a yellow or this should be a red straight up rather than reviewing it. It's been very inconsistent in this World Cup and created a lot of talking points. Now, they survive that period down a man. The Aaron Smith disallowed try on 54 minutes. Yes, there is a knock-on at the line out, so the try gets called back. It's a great bit of play. They shift it left very, very well. They keep going. They make a line break, and Aaron Smith obviously is the support runner, and some great handling. For once, the All Blacks playing as the All Blacks do in attack and not forcing to overplay, because I did notice the All Blacks trying these like funky on the back of the hand offloads. It's pissing down with rain. It's rain before the game. There's rain in the air. It's wet. Sometimes just keep it a little bit more conservative and just try and win that ruck. And the collision area and the tackle area, they weren't doing that. So they're trying to force the play. But this time they are winning in these phases, they are winning the tackle area. They are getting quick ball. And so therefore, okay, occasionally a nice little silky little backhander. Okay, because they've earned that right because they're winning that contact area. Now the try is disallowed because of the knock-on. However, there's a penalty resulting from this because Eben Etzebeth has not fully allowed Brodie Retallick to come back to ground. He only has one foot partially on the ground, not both feet. He's coming back down to set them all. That is literally half a second. Half a second later, that's just a knock on. The try is disallowed, and South Africa get the scrum in the end. It's an All Black penalty. And shortly after that penalty and resulting phases of play, Beauden Barrett scores the try on 58 minutes. Now, was that final pass forward? I think yes. I would agree with the commentators. I would agree with the analysis. It was forward. Wayne Barnes has said no. He's released it out the hands backwards, and then it's bounced forward. But looking at that went forward. Even though the hands are pointing in the direction backwards, it's a slippy ball. That's gone forward. But the try stands. Now the crucial kick, Mwanga misses it. Mwanga misses the crucial kick. And then Geordie Barrett will miss a crucial kick later on when Chesum Colbe is sin-binned for a deliberate knock-on. Now, after Beauden Barrett scores his try, it truly does become attritional because the All Blacks are now being forced to play. The Springboks just have to keep their discipline and then counter-attack or force a mistake from the All Blacks, who are now being forced to play. So that chance of mistake goes up, and the All Blacks lost the contact area again, won the contact area again. It was swinging. So the breakdown was a battle. And, there's a lot of turnovers. It was a battle. Then the Chesum Colbe yellow card. Now, I feel sorry for him because he's obviously got to sit there in the sin bin and potentially watch his side lose the World Cup. He's basically in tears and can barely watch. Geordie Barrett misses the kick. Now, Geordie Barrett can kick him from 60 metres. And in training, and in warm-up, he's been slotting these. He missed. He pushed it. He's got the distance. Oh, he's got the distance by some margin. He put his foot through that. He's missed. He's hooked it. And that's what fatigue and pressure does to a player. If that's in the first half after 5 minutes, he's banged that over. This is on 73, 74 minutes after a brutal attritional game where he's a big ball carrier at inside centre. He has been hammered by Peter Steph du Toit multiple times. Peter Steph du Toit has lined him up on 3 or 4 occasions and just drilled him man and ball. So he's battered, he's bruised, fatigued, tired, and he's got to try and kick that. And he's hooked it. And that's what fatigue does and pressure does. And then it's just, can the All Blacks breach that Springbok wall again? They have one try disallowed. They've had another try dubiously given. So they breached the Springbok line twice. They had another attempt where Colbe and Arantse bundled the opposition winger into touch. I don't know which one it was, but they nearly breached them a third time. But handling the contact area, looking after the ball in slippery conditions, a lot of knock-ons. And of course, at the end, it ends in a scrum. And then a reset scrum. And then all the Springboks have to do is kick it out. They try and run it, and then it turns into a maul, and then it collapses, and then the final whistle goes because it's collapsed. It's a collapsed maul, and so therefore it is end of game. But this was South African defence containing the All Black attack. Now, the All Blacks, in my opinion, I do think overplayed their hand a little bit in attack. They were forcing the play a little bit from pretty much the first whistle. And then they put themselves under pressure in the first half with their 2 yellows. Of course, Sam Cane upgraded to a red. That had an impact. They looked nervy to start the second half. And then the South Africans started looking a bit nervy. You could see the tension and pressure in this game. This wasn't a free-flowing game at all. This was a battle. But the South Africans won the battle. They won that battle in the first half. And they had their moments running the ball as well. This is not just pure brutality by South Africa and pure defence. They have some very talented outside backs who can run the ball, who can kick. Handre Pollard has had a fantastic game, but for me, the best player on the field was Peter Steph du Toit. Absolute machine he was. When Khaleesi goes off, he's still making those tackles and competing at the breakdown as the only flanker left on the field. You got Vermeulen is nearly 38, so he's taking on a lot of responsibility. But Vermeulen played very well. Fury played 77 minutes when he would have probably expected to have played about 25, 30 minutes. He's had to put in a shift. I mean, this was a team performance by South Africa, and it was attritional, and the weather conditions played into that attrition. But this was a fantastic. The tension was there. Was it the best match? No, but the intensity, I think, was up there. This wasn't the most thrilling. Well, it was pretty thrilling. It wasn't the best match technically I've ever seen. By God, it was entertaining. By God, the intensity was there. And then you see the emotion at the end and what it means to the Springboks and how deflated the All Blacks looked, because that is the first time the All Blacks have lost 2 matches in a World Cup. They lost the opening match against France, and they've lost the closing match against South Africa. So there we go. First red card in a final. South Africa, the first team to win 4 World Cups. They've never lost a final, and no team has lost whilst leading at half-time. So there we go. Thank you very much for watching. Place your thoughts on an epic, titanic battle in Paris below, and I will have some more content for you guys very, very soon.